Hey guys, it's time now to do my out-of-box review for the HG Lightning Zeta Gundam from Gundam Build Fighters Try. And before we get started, just a big thank you once again, as always, to MindFenix Hobby Store for sending me this kit to build and share with you guys. So a big thank you to them. Anyway, getting into the kit, I like the kit quite a bit. It was a design that struck me right away when I saw it in the anime. I thought it looked pretty cool. I'm not really a huge fan of the design of the original Zeta Gundam, to be honest. It's okay. There are certain things I like and certain things that I don't, and certain versions of it that I like and others that I don't. But anyway, this one was definitely a really interesting take on that design, and so I was quite interested in the kit. And now that I've built the kit, I can say that it is a very nice and solid kit. There are a handful of things that I'm a little bit disappointed with or that I don't particularly like about the kit. But overall, I think it's a great kit. I think it's going to be a really nice kit to see people doing some modding and some just really nice builds of the kit. I think once we start seeing a lot of those, we're going to see some really amazing builds of this kit. But the kit as is, and it does have a few flaws, some things that I'll point out, but let's just go ahead and get into it. I'll give you a look around the kit first of all. The first thing is that the kit doesn't transform, so I mean, I don't know if that can really be a flaw. Personally, I mean, I don't remember. Did it transform in the anime? I don't even remember. I know like the backpack transforms into like the Phoenix Burst kind of cannon thing, but I don't remember if the Gundam ever transformed in the anime. But that's another good point though, is that this Gundam appeared in the anime in one episode, and that's the kind of a strange thing about the Build Fighters series, is that whereas in other series, like a mobile suit that appears in one episode, it's very, very unlikely that we're going to get a kit of it. Now some people might be saying, well, it's easy for them to do a kit of this because they already had the HG Zeta Gundam, they just borrow the runners from that. But if you remember, in the unboxing, this kit is totally new. All the runners are new for this kit, so it's totally been designed new. Anyway, so that means that they put quite a bit of effort into putting out a kit for a design that only appeared in one episode and, I mean, has minutes of screen time. So it's kind of odd. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's just odd. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem fair. And I mean, for people who like this Gundam and people who like Gundam Build Fighters, it's great. And I mean, for a lot of people, I mean, we're getting a lot of great kits from the Build Fighter series, that's to be sure, but it's just, when you think about a lot of other series that have a lot of designs that have never seen kit form and probably will not see any kit form anytime in the near future or ever, it just doesn't really seem kind of fair. But I guess Bandai has to make money, so they have to put out what's popular at the time. So obviously putting out a bunch of like obscure mobile suits from the Zeta series, a lot of young people probably aren't going to know them, so they're not going to sell that well. The articulation is good, the part separation is pretty good. There's a few areas, there's quite a lot of stickers on this kit. Again, if you remember in the unboxing, the sticker sheet was quite large. So that is a little bit disappointing. I'll point all those out momentarily. The accessories, while the accessories that we get with the kit are nice, there are definitely a lot of accessories that I feel were left out, especially considering the price of this kit was 2,200 yen, a little bit high for a high grade. So you'd think that the other accessories that I think should have been included, I think you might agree, Bandai probably should have given us a little bit more in terms of that, but again, we'll go over that momentarily. The construction of the kit is very nice. There's very, very few seam lines that you'll have to get rid of. Everything goes together really nicely. Again, the part separation is pretty good. There will be a little bit of masking involved if you're going to be doing some painting on this. I mean, of course it depends on how you want to paint it. You don't have to mask anything at all if you don't want to, but if you want to go for the anime accurate colors, you will have to do some masking. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the articulation here. Starting off with the head, it's just very standard. We're not using that HG like polycap ball joint for the neck. We're just using its own separate part. But anyway, it's basically the same kind of part. It allows for the same kind of motion, like same kind of chicken neck motion that we're used to. Up, it's going to go about that far, not very much. Down, it's going to go all the way down like that, as much as you'd want. Here's one problem right away. These backpack parts come off pretty easily. So when we go around and take a look at the backpack now while we're talking about it, they just attach onto this ball joint here. That peg is for plugging on the weapons, which we'll talk about that when I show you guys the weapons, but this ball joint is where the backpack plugs on, so it's just supposed to put on there. But if you're moving it around a little bit, it comes loose really easily, so just be careful about that. It is on this piece though. The part that it's on, that gray piece, will allow it to move up and down like that, and then this fin on the side can move up and down as well, like that. And then this part, the whole part there, can move up and down. So you got some nice movement there in the backpack. That's pretty good, but let's just, okay, we'll try to keep those on. I was gonna say let's just take them off before they fall off, but yeah, might as well. And then also this part here on the backpack moves up. This stabilizer moves up and down. Very, very basic there, pretty simple. In the waist, although it has a very, very small waist with some pretty cool piston designs there, some nice color separation, that is a different kind of off-white color than the main armor. So that's kind of nice. Very thin waist that, again, as I said, a lot of people complain about the thin waist of the Barbatos Gundam, but haven't heard anyone complaining about this one, so I guess whatever, eh? It doesn't bother me. I like the design of it. The waist and the chest design of the Zeta is probably one of my favorite things about the design of the Zeta Gundam, and this one has kept it pretty close to that. The shoulders, interestingly, they don't use the same, it uses the same polycap that we get in most high grades where it like swings out forward. It uses that same polycap but in a different way. It's like set in there like just in a way that you're supposed to use that to plug in this other gray part. So it's not really utilizing that polycap very well. So that's all the motion we're going to get forward and back on the shoulder, which when you're using a mobile suit that's supposed to bring its arms forward to hold like a cannon in the front, you'd think like that polycap would have been pretty important in the design of using that to bring the arms forward on this, but that's as far as that's going to go forward, not very far at all. So this white piece here is, as you can see, it is separated, so that is going to move a little bit independently of the body. It's not attached to the body, it's attached onto the part between the shoulder and the body. Arm is going to be very standard, although I do have a big complaint about the arm. It rotates at the top and then just a standard double joint there at the elbow, which is nice, and then the wrist is just standard wrist, just plugs into there. Here's my complaint about the arm. This piece, that's all it is, just that peg piece. Pretty normal, but then this space is this just big empty square space that this just plugs into, and it looks just really like chintzy, not strong at all, and just like it's just kind of like barely attached onto there. If this were a mobile suit where like the arm is meant to like shoot off and like fly out like the Tryon 3 or like Silver Bullet or something, then you know, it kind of makes sense to look like that. But the way that it looks now, it doesn't look like the lower part and the upper part of the arm or even the elbow. It doesn't look like it's integrated very well. I don't know if you guys are understanding kind of what I'm complaining about this, but I hope you get what I mean. I don't really like that, but again, if you just position the arm in a way, something like this, like you're not really going to notice, but it definitely bothered me when I was putting that together. I was just like, what? Also, the hands are really quite small on this. I don't know, it's not very noticeable, but if you look at it for a minute, it kind of, the hands look quite small on there. I don't know, again, could just be me. Anyway, to point out some stickers, of course there's the sticker on the eyes and the head camera on the front, and then there's a camera on the back there as well. Then we don't get to any more stickers here until the arms, these yellow bits on the side, on both sides. There's that yellow sticker there. Here's going to be where we've got a seam, but this is a seam line that's supposed to be there. It is kind of ugly though. Like usually when they hide seam lines like as panel lines, it's less obvious, but this one it's pretty obvious that like that panel line is just supposed to hide the seam line there. So I don't know, it's not great, but it is one of the very few seam lines that we've got on the kit, so it's not too much to complain about. I guess I talked about the waist, but I didn't show you any movement about it. That's because it doesn't really move at all. It twists a little bit, and even that is not that much because it's stopped where the red cockpit hatch piece is hitting these pieces on the front skirt armor. So it's stopped there. That's as much as it's going to turn, and no bending forward and back, side to side, nothing, no bending there in the waist at all, so that's kind of disappointing. Here in the legs, they're very standard, just spinning there at the top, the pivot. This is a problem. I heard from one of my, someone left a comment in the unboxing video that this fin keeps coming up on the left leg specifically, keeps coming off on his kit, and I'm having the exact same problem with mine. If any of you guys have built this kit, have you had the same problem, let me know. This fin, the other one hasn't come off once, although it does feel a little bit loose now, but this one has come off like 3 or 4 times, so don't really know what the deal with that is. Anyway, very nice double joint in the knee, so we're going to get some pretty good movement there. And then in the ankles is quite good as well. Forward about that much, back like that. The toe doesn't bend at all, but and then just because of the shape, similar like the DJ, the sides of the leg armor come down so far. There's not really much room for the ankle to move side to side, but it does move a little bit, rock a little bit there. We got some nice detail all around with these yellow parts. These are also stickers. These little yellow stickers there on the front and back on this side. The yellow parts for the vents is nice that those are separate parts on both sides. This is kind of strange. It looks like there was supposed to be a part that plugs into there, but there's just not. It's just nothing. So it's kind of odd. It kind of makes me wonder if these parts are going to be recycled for something in the future. I don't really know what, but it's quite possible because, I don't know, that looks like it's not something that Bandai would do, just leave an empty spot like that. It definitely looks like something's supposed to plug into there. The waist armor I skipped over, sorry about that. Of course the front skirts are joined together, but you just clip them with your nippers and then they're separated. I like how there's this huge part like up under the front skirt, so it like makes the front skirt armor like sticking out forward. I like that about the design, how forward pointing these parts of the front skirt are. It's pretty cool, unique. The side skirts are just very normal, nothing special about them, just plug on there normally. And the back skirt as well doesn't move at all. There is a small little thruster piece in there, a very, very small piece that you have to put on. And that is about it. As you can see, there's really not much in terms of seam lines. The thigh part is just all one piece. You slide onto there. The lower legs is just a left side and a right side and just close together. On the back, there's no seam there because, again, this is a example of where they're hiding the seam line well because there's an edge there on both sides. So one of them is the seam, the other one's just an edge detail. So that seam's hidden. This is a separate piece, this part down below. And yeah, so overall there are a few areas that are a little bit disappointing, a few areas that are really nice, but generally the just details and the shapes of everything is really good. So that's probably going to be the most important. As I've said on many occasions, the articulation is not as important to me as just the overall look of the kit. So if the kit looks good, that's the most important thing. And this kit definitely looks good and has a lot of nice details around all in it. I forgot to mention this little flap here on the shoulder moves as well. Big deal. Anyway, so let's talk about the accessories. And this is something that is, again, has good points and bad points. It just depends on what you wanted out of the kit. So, of course, we've got our beam rifle. Now, I really like the shape of this beam rifle a lot. It does have 2 stickers, the square one and the round one for this like larger camera on there. I like the size and shape of this beam rifle. It has this flap that flips like that, but if you flip it forward, it very easily comes dislodged from where it's supposed to be. So just be careful about that. And then this flap on the top there is going to move as well. So that can flip up like that. The handle, where it looks like one part here, is actually 2 separate parts. So this handle folds back, and then this part folds back, and then I think this one folds down like that. And then this is how you peg this onto the backpack. So then we can peg that on here, just in that hole, and that's it, just like that. So it can hold that gun on its backpack, and it can tilt forward like that, like a cannon. So it's pretty cool. That gimmick is quite nice, that you can use that as a cannon there as well. That's pretty nice. And then we also have our shield. And the shield is also pretty nice. We have just this piece moves up and down, and then this piece moves up a little bit and down as well. That's more for the Phoenix Burst attack. You're supposed to flip those up like that. And then underside as well, it's got this handle that we're going to use for that as well, but just using it as a shield, there's no need. We just flip that down, and just this peg, as you can see on the back of the arm, it has a peg hole on both sides, so you could actually put the rifle on the back of the arm there as well. But we'll put the shield on the back of the arm. Kind of disappointing that we don't have a piece that will allow like the shield to clip onto the side of the arm as well. So the shield's just stuck there on the back of the arm. It's never really all that exciting having shields on the back of the arm, because then like to actually use the shield you got to bring it like way up forward like that. I guess it's not too bad. That is one good thing about this part that I complained about in the elbow, is that it allows for a good twist there at the elbow for doing something like that, I guess. So that is one good point about that. I do like the shield quite a bit. It's a very just kind of standard Zeta looking nose cone shield, but it is a pretty good take on that here as I twist the arm right out of that cheap little elbow socket there. And then of course, so this can plug into the backpack on the other side here, like so. Then there we go, we've got the weapons stored on the back, and we can make our backpack into the Phoenix Burst thing. So before we do that, just continuing with the accessories, we also have two beam effect parts that are going to go on the wings of the backpack for that attack. And that is it. So here's my gripe about the accessories, that while the accessories that we do have are nice, it's more about the accessories that we don't have. Now, hands. We've got holding hands on the kit, and that's it. No open hands, no closed fists, nothing at all. It's okay, but like at least one open hand. I mean, like 2 hands in a kit, that's it. Most recent high grades all come with at least 3 hands. I mean, no other hands? What's the deal with that? And no beam sabers or beam saber handles. I mean, a beam saber is probably like a super easy thing to scratch build if you want to use one. Just like a piece of tube, plow plate, and then just like drill a hole and use a beam effect part from another kit. Although of course you can make it a little bit more complex than that. But anyway, you get my point. It's not easy to build. But anyway, like, why not throw in a part for a beam saber? Again, I don't remember in the anime if he used a beam saber, but it's a Gundam and it's a Zeta Gundam. It's got to have like a beam saber, I'm sure. He had it in the design. So just kind of disappointing we didn't have that as well. For the price, 2,200 yen, I think 1 extra hand and a beam saber is not too much to ask. So a little bit disappointing in that for me, but again, it's not really too bad of a thing to have to complain about. There are much worse fates than just not having those. I mean, we do have a lot to work with this nice rifle here. So anyway, so if you didn't guess by the fact that we don't have any other hand, the beam rifle is just going to be held in that holding hand. It's not exactly a specific trigger finger, but it's just going to, you're just going to have to pull the hand apart and then put it onto the handle there. And then, like I said, you just bring this part down and connect those like that. And then there you go, that's how you get your beam rifle. So let's talk about the Phoenix Burst effect. I'm gonna go ahead and do some transforming to show you that, and then we'll take a look. Sorry, before we do that, here on the backpack, I forgot to point this out, more stickers. Inside there, 2 red stickers. Here on the end, 2 huge red stickers on the front and back. This could have been its own separate part. Inside there, okay, I can understand that being stickers, but this should have been its own separate part. Just a red piece that just caps onto the end. Super simple. I don't know why Bandai didn't do that. Especially because like this red sticker is like kind of metallic, kind of. It is a foil sticker, so that's why, I guess. But just that being like metallic red and here being red. Of course, I mean, you're better off just painting the kit anyway, and you should paint if you can, but for a lot of people who don't paint, you're just going to have inconsistency in your red color there on the backpack. Again, not something that you can really make a huge complaint about, but I don't know, it is something. So anyway, let me go ahead and talk about the Phoenix Burst. Alright, so I've got the Gundam ready there. We're going to flip up the stabilizer in the back. On our wing parts, it's basically just fold down, fold forward the wings, and then you attach that effect part onto there. Then here on the side there's a little part that's going to flip out, and then that peg is where you're going to plug that into the side of the arms. So we've got Just one for each side. Like this one onto here, like that. It's going to be hanging off to the side there momentarily. The peg on my Action Base 2, which I use for 1/144 scale reviews, obviously, the peg was broken, so I had to replace it with just a piece of a runner, and it's not quite as tight, so it's a little bit loose there. Anyway, there we go. I actually kind of quite like it more with just like these things on the arm, rather than doing the actual effect that you're supposed to do. Like just having these huge things on the arms looks kind of cool. Just give you a look. I mean, the pose is obviously not right. You'd have to do a little bit better posing, and this part came off that leg again. Anyway, putting it into the Phoenix mode, we're going to take our shield once again and just flip up these, flip down the handle, and it says in the manual to offset the handle a little bit off to the side because it's just going to be held in the one hand. If you've ever built a Wing Zero or Wing Zero Custom where it's got the double Buster rifles, it's similar to that, where it's got to look like it's holding it in both hands, but it's really just holding it in one hand. Or I don't know, I guess with some of those kits you can actually hold it with two hands, but in this one, just going to be holding it with the one hand like that, sort of pointing forward, and then just bring the other arm forward as well. This is not easy to do on camera, but just bear with me a moment. And there we go. Not really the easiest thing to do. I mean, yeah, it's easy, and probably easier if I'm not, again, not doing it on camera. But it doesn't look great, I think. I don't know. It's okay. It does what it's supposed to do. People complained, or I've heard some complaints about this not coming with like a larger effect part to make like the Phoenix kind of burst effect part. I personally don't care about that at all, because I don't really want like some huge, I just don't really like the look of this kind of attack all that much anyway, but I don't really care about having some like huge clear plastic like flame Phoenix thing coming out of there. That's why you always save your clear runners after you use your clear parts. You always save your clear runners, because then you can melt those down and you can make new parts out of, like, make new effect parts out of those pretty easily. You could make like a clear Phoenix like effect part just using those, just like melted down runners. So you have to do a little bit of color matching, but I'm sure you could do it. Anyway, so that's this pose. It's not really my favorite pose, so I want to change up the pose one more time before we end this review and give it just a little bit more of a kind of standard Gundam cool looking pose for my personal opinion. There, see what I mean? It looks pretty cool just with the things just on its arms like that. I quite like that, but again, could just be my own personal taste. What do you guys think? I'll let you just take a look at this here for a minute, because I'm quite enjoying this pose before I switched up into the last pose for the video. Okay, and then for our last pose here, I decided to keep those beam effect parts on the backpack just as a demonstration that you can obviously do that if you want to just have it flying with those beam effect parts on the wings. It does kind of make sense if he's going to be flying along at high speed. If he's already busy shooting somebody else, just fly next to some guy and just cut him in half, right? So it does kind of make sense anyway. So that is pretty much it for my review of this kit. I think it is a really, really great kit. I know I pointed out a lot of things that I didn't like about the kit, but that's just to, I mean, just give you guys some things to think about when you're considering if you want to get this kit or not. Once again, of course, the most important thing is how the kit looks, and as you can see, the kit looks awesome. And that's, yeah, again, just most important. So I'm not really a huge fan of the colors. I will, whenever I go to paint this, I'll definitely have to change up those colors, I think. But otherwise, a lot of really great stuff to work with here. The accessories that we've got, the shield, the beam rifle, and the backpack is really quite nice as well. And then just the overall design, I like the design of the legs, the skirt, the chest, the head. The head is very standard. I think the head is very close to the original Zeta Gundam. That's probably one of the least changed parts, I'd imagine. But everything else is changed very nicely, so I quite like the kit. 2,200 yen is a little bit more pricey for a high grade, but again, you get what you pay for. You're getting quite a bit in this kit, I think. There's a few things that I think we should have got as well. but you're definitely getting plenty to work with, so it is worth it in my opinion, I would say. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you have any other questions or comments, anything like that, leave that below. As always, I love hearing from you guys, and you guys often point stuff out to me that I didn't think about or that I didn't notice, so thank you guys for that. You guys are awesome. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.